For the last 17 months, exports have been on the decline. Imports are on the decline. When you see import of capital goods is an indicia of the market growing. That's on the decline. So what's on the up? Modi. Nothing else is on the up. I don't want to react to what Smriti Irani says, quite frankly. I think the people of this country know how that education department is being run. Who says don't investigate? But you leak the email to the media. Then you have the media play it up. That's what Mrs. Gandhi is talking about.
The government has completed 2 years, and the Prime Minister, and we all saw what happened at the India Gate, and the impression that one got was that we are as a nation growing. So what is your problem with that?
No, I love the nation to grow. I have no problems with that. I'm just problem with the statistics that he has churned out.
So you think those statistics?
He said, for example, one of the statistics he gave was that new ration cards that have been given. He gave a statistic of 3 crore. Oh, it is only 66 lakhs. Then he said that my Jandan in the first 100 days, 21 crore accounts. The actual fact is 8.6 crores. Right? Then he said this is LPG cylinders. He said we have given new LPG cylinders to so many crores of people. Actually, it's only 45 lakhs. So if the Prime Minister of India, right, at India Gate, talks of statistics which are, I don't want to say false, but incorrect, then how do you trust our leaders? And this is the real worry. The Central Statistical Organization is also giving out data which economists are now questioning. He says, we don't see the 7.6% on the ground. Right? So you may tom-tom about yourself, right? But the fact of the matter is, what is on the ground is all we see. You go to the retail market, there are no people buying stuff, which means nothing is, no people who have anything, people don't have money in their pockets. So that's the real worry, that this is a party which tom-toms about statistics, right, without realizing that the person on the ground, the common man, is not feeling the feel-good factor of those statistics, not experiencing the feel-good factor of those statistics. And that's the worry.
People, the Aam Aadmi, he seems to be buying these statistics. He seems to
I don't know how does he buy the statistics, because expensive, I don't understand how he buys. If dal is 200 rupees, how is he buying the statistic? His income is not increased. If dals are 200 rupees, maybe Modi wants to change the eating habits of India and say that you should prefer chicken to dal. I can understand that. Maybe that's the objective, right? And if vegetables are as expensive as they are now, and if 1 ton of potatoes sells for 1 rupee, right? So what statistics are we talking about, and what's the feel-good factor on the ground? And that's, you see, what worries me is that you have a wonderful advertising campaign. You may have a wonderful advertising campaign. But the fact of the matter is, when the voter thinks about himself, he'll ask the question to himself at the right time, has my life improved? Right? And that's the real worry. Now, for example, you never had any outages in Delhi, electricity outages. Did you have? I think during 15 years of Congress, at least in the last 10 years, you had no outages. We started that started happening. For the last 17 months, exports have been on the decline. Imports are on the decline. When you see import of capital goods is an indicia of the market growing. That's on the decline. So what's on the up? Modi. Nothing else is on the up.
That today's headline in every paper is Mrs. Gandhi's comment on the Prime Minister as the Shahenshah. What are the traits that she's implying? It would be great if you can
See, I think Arun Shourie put it very well in the course of his interview. Narcissism, megalomania, trying to control the government, a photograph with Madame Tussauds gives you an indication of the persona of the Prime Minister, giving out statistics without regard to the truth. Basically concentrating everything in the PMO, not allowing his ministers to the kind of freedom that in the UPA government was allowed. So those are personal traits of character. Wearing a named pinstripe suit and then auctioning it off. These are all very, very significant characteristics of a man who basically is in love with himself, which is not a bad thing. But in politics, it may not sometimes succeed for a long period of time.
This whole wave of admiration of Mr. Modi's work since the last election has only increased in the last 2 years. I read everywhere on social media that this whole admiration as well as respect for Mr. Modi has only increased on a general consensus. So my question is that even if by faint chance we the people of India start to resent our decision of electing Mr. Modi since the 2014 elections, we do not have any other alternative, being Congress party as being the national party of India. We do not have any face or at least a shortlisted name of candidates who could become the next Prime Minister of India. So, in simple terms, do we have any other alternative to Mr. Modi?
First of all, you must know that there is an army out there which is funded by a particular political party, right? Which has enormous presence in the social media and wanton presence in the social media to serve a particular purpose, right? And that army, whenever I say something, right, will attack me within 2 minutes, right? And they'll do all the leadership. And then they will praise Modi. So it is a self-serving army, which is part of the narcissism that I talked about. Okay? There's a lot of trolling against Modi today, right? Apart from that army, right? That represents the the independent individual on Twitter who has no association with A, B or C, who is now tweeting, and there are lots of tweets against the present government and against Modi. So I don't agree that there is consensus, the word that you used. I don't think there is any consensus on this issue. Having said that, alternative. See, remember, 2 years is too short a period to produce an alternative. I bet that in the next 2 years, you will have an alternative. And an alternative which will be far more compassionate, far more acceptable, far more inclusive, and far less obsessed about himself or herself. That will be the alternative.
In a recent interview, Smriti Irani, on most of her interviews recently, she said, when asked to recount one of her biggest achievements, she said that during my predecessor's regime, education had become a political akhada, states wouldn't see eye to eye, and she says that she's achieved that consensus where school education, higher education departments are talking, there's more consensus on issues of education. Your reaction to that?
See, first of all, I don't want to react to what Smriti Irani says, quite frankly. I think the people of this country know how that education department is being run. Where was there, on what issue was there no consensus? Has he given any? So what's the relevance of a statement like that without telling the people on what issue there was no consensus? Did we appoint RSS people or Congress-minded people as vice chancellors of universities? The answer is no. Did we appoint people of a particular ideology as directors of IIT? No. Was a controversy about my degree? No. Was there a controversy about the Prime Minister's degree? No. So what are we talking about? I mean, it's a shame for this country that we have to have a debate on degrees of ministers. And when you talk about corruption, I mean, you can see it happening all around. What about the corruption in Madhya Pradesh and the Vyapam scam? That's not BJP. This is what somebody come from another planet.
So, as a former HRD minister, what is your opinion of Smriti Irani as a HRD minister?
I'm not worried about individuals. I'm worried about the change of textbooks. I'm worried about the change of the effacing of history. I'm worried about a Vedic board being created. See, these are real worries. You tell Ramdev that you can have a private Vedic board in India so that our children gets aligned to that ideology as they grow up. I'm worried about that. I'm not worried about Smriti Irani. I'm worried about what she symbolizes. She symbolizes an ideology which in fact is set to destroy peace and tranquility in India in the future. That's what I'm worried about.
That, Robert Vadra issue, the income tax department or the investigative agency has got something. They have all the right to investigate the email trail, which is today reported in Indian Express. Then it is an authenticated emails, and the investigation is very much above board. It's nothing to do with, as President, just a second, President Sonia Gandhi says that conspiracy, because it's a very clear-cut case. Somebody was raided, email was found, certain kind of to and fro emails are there. So what is wrong if Robert Vadra is there? What is political about?
Who says don't investigate? But you leak the email to the media. Then you have the media play it up. That's what Mrs. Gandhi is talking about. Right? Your intentions are not to investigate in a fair manner. Your intention is to besmirch the name, to have another way of saying we want a Congress Mukt Bharat. Right? Who stops an investigation? Did we say don't investigate? On Augusta, have we said? We said have an SIT. Why don't they agree to an SIT under the Supreme Court? They should agree. In all these allegations, have we found a single case where Congress person has been convicted? This is all media stuff. You get something, you leak something, then you give a spin to it, then the finance minister writes a blog, then his people go up on television, right? Then you create an atmosphere, and then you say he's corrupt. And when it comes to you, say, oh, this is only a paper. That piece of paper on Chhattisgarh which names the family members of the present chief minister, right? And the money trail, that's irrelevant.
Just to take Sheila's question a bit forward, who's Robert Vadra? Is he a Congress leader? Because half the time the Congress party is busy defending him and his alleged business.
The point is that he happens to be associated with a person which is part of the family of the Congress leadership, who is a Congress person. So when you make an allegation against him, in a sense you are making an allegation against the Congress party. If the Congress party does not respond, you will say the Congress party has accepted it. If the Congress party is responding, you say, is he a congressman? So we can't win anyway. Fact of matter is, if you make a false allegation, the person is entitled to say this is false.